Welcome to another week, and in fact, the final week for the season of Radio Melee. That's right, it's the Radio Melee season finale. And who better to get on than the mastermind behind Smash Summit 14 and really Smash Summit in general? Mikey, aka the Cheat.
What's up,
What's up,
guys?
bud?
Really glad to be here.
Glad to have you on.
Long time, technically second time, because I did call in on the Nick Yingling episode.
True, you got hype.
I take it.
That is true. As we all did, right? As we all did.
I had to. I was crusading.
Yeah. Dude, Yingling, I gotta say, it's cool seeing Yingling around all the time, you know. Just a great guy, and I feel like, you kind of introduced us to him, you know. I feel like that wouldn't happen without you, and I think that was overall really a net positive, just for the community. So I guess
I'm glad you feel that way, because not everyone does. But that's all right.
I mean, he's not a net negative, right? Nick
No,
Yingling
we
is
know
not.
that.
Yeah, let's just I think we can agree that Nick Yingling on the Smash community either net positive or like totally fucking neutral,
Yeah,
but
Nick
not
Yingling-
a net negative.
Nick Yingling is a zero-sum game in and of himself,
Let's go. We'll take that.
at least.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
So here we are. We just got out of a crazy tournament. I think one that I will say I had a lot of fun at, and just in general, it feels like a lot of people really liked. You know, I had my ear to the ground as I do. And even Lovage was my roommate, and he was saying, dude, this is a great summit. This is just really, I mean, obviously it's always fun. And he was saying he was on Reddit a bunch, and he was like, oh, people are just loving it. People are having a good time. The matches are great. Commentary's fresh. The side events, actually, I got to shout you out for this one. The side events were phenomenal. I feel like the side events, the theme, very rarely, I know I'm going on a bit of a rant here. Very rarely do all of the side events tie so seamlessly into the theme.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great.
Yeah, that was kind of on accident in a way, you know? Like, Summit has been in kind of, I don't know if you've noticed, but Summit's been in kind of a weird place lately where we have been switching up some things with the voting system. I mean, obviously, we've had a lot of, like, personnel turnover with like Slime leaving, and then Aiden, and then Ken Chen. And like, I am now the most senior of the people who like operate Smash on like a creative level there, which is fucking crazy because I've only been there for like 15 months or something like that. So, and we've been around for so long. There have been more Smash summits now than Dota summits, believe it or not.
Wow.
So like, and the Smash calendar is just so like congested that we have to like find ways to like work in this new like ecosystem, and some of that is like switching up kind of how we view side events, whereas before we would do stuff like, I don't know, throwing like a bunch of stuff at the wall and kind of seeing what sticks, doing like, for Summit 13, for example, we had the whole Survivor theme, and that involved like 13 different challenges, which is crazy. But focusing more on sort of like gameplay and player personality stuff in particular, fitting it to the theme as much as possible, and also like just making sure that what we have is not going to be an idea that you see it on stream and you see it one time and then you're bored for the rest of the side event. Those are the things that we're focusing on, and I think we hit like a pretty good balance here of all of that stuff, and I'm really glad the reception has been as positive as it is.
You mean something like, you're saying like you don't want the kind of situation where people go, "Oh, this is a cool idea," but it's only cool because of the idea, and it's not actually fun to watch for the
exactly
duration of the event or something. Like
and that's why we were talking earlier a little bit before the show about like Wheel of Bullshit is an idea that I liked a lot, because you take all of these individual ideas that aren't necessarily strong enough to be their own concept for a full bracket, and you mash them all together, so you get these little bursts of very inspired things that quickly move on to the next thing. And I think the controller bracket was kind of that way too. Where there's just so much information coming at you all at once that you can never like possibly be bored of it. That was great. I think that the group projects blew my expectations out of the water. I was a
Oh,
little worried
I
about
was
that one.
stunned. Did you see those, PB?
Yeah, I saw a decent amount of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did not pitch. They told us the idea, when we did the commentator orientation, and they were like, yeah, and Mikey kind of even said, you were like, they'll probably be pretty dog shit. So you didn't use the word dog shit, but you said basically, feel free to interject and roast them. Like, feel free to just kind of jump in and be like, hey, this is, this looks fucking ugly or whatever, right? Like this, like,
Yeah.
And I was ready to do that. And all of the presentations were so much more well crafted than I thought they would be. And I was just kind of like, oh shit, like, wow, this is not what I expected at all. Like, Cody comes up and he's like, yeah, I really only worked for this for an hour. I've been warming up all day, blah, blah, blah. We're like, okay, this is going to be zero effort. And then it was just very funny. And I would say, dare I say it, well researched. And I didn't see that shit coming at all.
I have to give a lot of credit to the players because they really could have just phoned it in. And we did put like quite, we put quite a lot of trust in them to like carry this side of it on their backs, but they are so down for it. Like the players are all great to work with, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like this summit, and in particular, I remember Summit 13 when we had that kind of COVID scare, and we were like kind of working on the fly to like fix the tournament. Like our format's kind of out of the window, and the players were like suggesting things that we could do so we could make it all make sense. So really, Summit's great. It's all just a collective of people that share like common goals and ideals in a way, which I really appreciate. And the players are certainly part of that sort of ecosystem. So I have to thank them a lot for, being so invested in it and caring about it so much.
It's so funny because I feel like a lot's changed in that regard, like over the years, from like the early days when, I was kind of talking to Mango about this, Mango being one of the people who kind of brings this up sometimes. He was like, the original idea of these days, Smash Summit is this very prestigious, extremely prestigious event, right? To win it, it's considered one of the hardest events to win, period. At the beginning, it was more of a fun. I mean, it's still fun. Obviously, or I should say it's more fun than it's probably ever been. But at the beginning, it was more like, well, it's like half a major, but also you're getting a bunch of gamers in the house and doing this thing. And people didn't, not that they didn't try hard, but it was like people, you must remember like the early days where it wasn't quite thought of as a major. I feel like the way it is now, and I know this is a very loosey-goosey, abstract kind of way that I'm talking about it, but I feel like the way the top players looked at it was like different back then, and the way it's kind of become a mainstay of our community, that's really evolved.
Yeah, I think some of that has to do with how much money they're able to raise. I mean, you look at that pot and they're like, oh, hey, this is a serious tournament.
That's another crazy thing that happened at this summit. The prize pool during the event went up $14,000. And I wasn't even paying attention to that because usually, once voting's over, that's kind of it. It might go up like a couple $1,000s.
Right.
When the event started, it was at 38K. It has jumped up to 52K now.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Okay.
So I don't.
How much of that is the Cowboy Bebop shirt / sweatshirt? Because that shirt is so sick.
That shirt sold about 1,700 units, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's a good number at units.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a good day at the office.
I'm telling you guys, man. No, because I'll just be completely straight up, and I'm not obviously not naming particular, not nothing. This is all to say that some summits the merch is okay. Some summits the merch is okay. Some summits the merch is like, oh, I really need that, and I really need that, and oh, that looks really good too. And I don't know how much. I mean, I would love to do more of a deep, because I don't have any of the numbers. Obviously, I've never really thought about it at any level. But I will say myself personally, there have been summits where I show up and you guys give the commentators some merch to wear to kind of like show it off on the stream. And then there are some where I literally open my phone later that day and I put in like an order for one or two more things because I'm like, actually, they ran out of the thing I wanted, or like Oscar got the only one left in medium or whatever, and I really want that, so I just buy some stuff the day of. And I have to imagine there's some kind of overlap there, but it is really cool because I feel like it's a really great opportunity. I mean, I have to imagine it's a great opportunity for people in the community who do merch and who do art and design and things like that, to kind of, I feel like there's a really nice, like, obvious sort of symbiotic relationship there that can happen.
Yeah, and actually, like, we want to do more of that than we are already.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our designs come from our in-house design team in Hungary, and they do great work.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
it's one of those things where we, before this summit, actually, were putting out like applications for like community artists to be a part of it. So yeah, that is something that we're looking to expanding into more. Because we just want to, we want to get as many people involved as possible who do good work.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, merch is an interesting process with us. We don't really have a merch person, we all just kind of get in a call and throw ideas around, and sometimes we come up with good stuff. I think.
And you're one of the big. You're really one of the big creative guys now, I guess. Because like you said, you're the most senior Smash. I have to imagine you do work on other games too, but you're like you've been around the longest as far as the Smash creative goes.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you tell us exactly what your role is overall, and what you do for the Smash side, and maybe what you do for the other summits too? Because I think as fun as it was having you call in for the Yingling one, everyone might not know what Mikey does. So I think it'd be cool to figure out what your full role is. I don't think I'm fully aware even.
Yeah, that was even before I got the job. So
right.
My title is creative producer. And the bulk of my work is on Smash. So
okay.
I kind of head up the sort of process of concepting and coming up with themes for the Smash events, going over coming up with ideas for side events and executing those. I do a lot of writing on the content. I work with the talent and the players a lot to sort of facilitate them coming to the event, all that stuff. And then also I do a lot of work with the community events that we have on our channel. So I interface with all of them, get them everything they need to stream on BTS Smash, all that good stuff. And then I do a little bit of work on some of our, like, it's mostly been white label projects lately that we've been working on. Mogul Money, Juice, the XQC game show.
Okay.
We do some stuff for corporations.
What do you
like
do
Monster.
for that, or for the non-Smash things? What is it? That sounds very different.
It's similar stuff. So, like, for the XQC game show, for example, we have little mini games that are a part of that, and so I'll be part of the. Did you come up with that? No, that's a lot of Zane for the most part, and Dakota, who is our creative director. They head up those projects, but there are times where I'll come in to like supplement ideas on that kind of stuff. But Smash has really been keeping me busy, I have to say, recently.
Yeah.
Because we've run Ultimate Summit. We also ran an online $50,000 Arcadian tournament for Papa John's. And then we're rolling right into Melee Summit, which just happened, and then Main Stage is like 3 weeks out now. So
so this is
full
time.
Oh, yeah, Main Stage is super soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, cool. Did you say real quick? Did you say Zane was working on Juiced?
Ipengu, yes.
Did I hear
Zane.
that wrong?
Yeah.
Ipengu. Yeah. Okay. First of all, I didn't even know that. But second of all, okay, that makes a lot more sense than what I imagined.
Right. Yes.
Which was cool. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have clarified.
No, it's fine. I wanted to ask, because you mentioned, like Main Stage coming up and shit. What was I gonna say? Saying blah 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 blah. There were like two things that you just said that I wanted to dig into a little bit. Whatever, it'll come to me. I forgot.
Want to talk about Papa John's? I mentioned that.
Oh no, I remember what I wanted to ask you. I had a funny question. I had a funny question for you. What's the you guys are literally running this ultimate online Arcadian thing.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
I've seen. Do you have any? I have to imagine. Are there any funny stories from that? Like anything about like players getting salty in the StarGG chat or anything like that? Because I wonder what that's like logistically even.
There's been some wacky stuff, I think the funniest thing is that we've had a good dozen or so people be like, I thought this was a multiverses tournament. I don't even own a
Really?
Nintendo Switch, so I have to drop out now, which is crazy.
Wow.
Uh,
That you should just that should just be something that should be obvious.
I know.
That
One would
can't
think
be.
it is. But it keeps happening somehow. It's like one of those things where it's like if I had a nickel for every time this happened, I'd have 10 cents, but it's weird that it happened twice.
That's
you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a thing. The Arcadians are crazy in general. You know Onin, who won
Yeah.
SmashCon and Gommel? Onin
Yeah.
was eligible for this because they weren't a a PGR ranked player when registration opened for the events.
Oh.
And so they participated and didn't qualify for the finals because they got double eliminated by a 16-year-old Olimar player from Wisconsin named 34.
What?
Every part of that
Yeah.
sentence is weird.
I know.
Why is this
Right?
guy 34?
I don't know.
He's right. He's not 34. He's 16, which is
Yeah.
confusing because
I have
34
no-
isn't.
I have
Not
no
even half of
explanation
that.
for any of this.
Sorry,
So,
I'm just thinking about the Olimar Steve matchup and what would change online. Because isn't Steve really good? Isn't Steve probably
Yeah!
really good online? Steve's probably really good online.
Dude, it blew me away when that happened.
Hey,
I
Chat
don't know.
open. If anyone in my chat has anything to say about the Steve Olimar, if I have any ultimate heads to know about, I'm actually thinking about it, and I'm confused. That's really
Please
funny.
help.
I love when things like that happen.
Please help us.
Wow, do people? Anyway, okay, I'm not going to go too into it. That is really funny.
It's
That
a
is really
melee show.
It's a melee show. It's a melee show, but that is really funny. Wow. The multiverse thing is also wild. I wonder if there was like some multiverses guy that like retweeted it or something like.
You think it was like AstroTurf? I don't know.
Yeah, and they forgot to mention to their audience that hey, it's not a multiverses tournament. It's actually
Now that you're mentioning
like
it,
that?
I think it's Void because we did work with Void to promote the event, and so I think a lot
That'll
of people
do
might have
it.
seen it from Void. But I mean, he definitely mentioned this is a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate tournament when he was talking about it.
Fascinating. Yeah, people should know that Void plays that game. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I should mention at this point of the show, at this point of the program, to everybody in chat,
Mhm.
hey, we need you for the next part of the program. Well, pretty soon, not direct. We're gonna do some other stuff first. In particular, we're gonna answer the community voice. But before we even get into that, I just wanted to let everybody know if you want to hop on, you want to ask Mikey, the biggest brain in the industry, about what it's like running the largest scale tournaments and what it's like being fucking sick and what Nick Yingling smells like.
Mhm.
These are all things you could ask Mikey by typing in !radio melee. And in doing so, you're going to be able to join our Discord. You just hop in that submit topics here channel and you can ask us whatever you want. And then you get to talk to us live on air. It's that easy. It's so simple. Don't ask me questions in my Twitch chat. Every time I do this, like 3 people ask a question in Twitch chat. That's not how it works. You guys are all so stupid, but that's okay. We love you anyway around these parts. And with that, I guess before we get into the community voice, I guess I should ask you about main stage a little bit because that's actually the next Smash event that I'm going to be going to. How you feeling about it? Are we had for example before we had Big House, we had Joe Guy on. Actually, we had Sheridan on. We had Joe Guy on a video. We had Sheridan on Radio Melee. But, we talked about the process and running a big-ass tournament, an open bracket major. And obviously, Main Stage is kind of a newer addition to the Beyond the Summit repertoire, although I guess the first one was... I guess it's been going on since you joined. But how different is that in terms of the way you think about it? What's an insight that I wouldn't have expected you to say when it comes to the difference between running a thing like Main Stage versus like a Smash Summit? No
Sure.
pressure.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Main Stage 2021 was kind of a kick in the head to me. It was really the first major tournament that I had ever run. Obviously I run Smash Camp, but that is a tournament that will forever be capped around like 300 people, which gives you a ton more flexibility to kind of focus on aspects of the event other than the logistics of it. And I think as a result of sort of that inexperience, the schedule suffered a bit at Main Stage 2021, in a way that we were running pretty long hours, for instance.
Mhm.
We kind of ran through doubles, all the way through on Friday. It took like 8 hours for some people. And then we had 10 a.m. pools the next day that some people had to wake up for. And then we ran all the way, to just about 10 p.m. that night, going from, round one pools all the way through to top 16 on Saturday. So this time I'm focusing a little bit more on the attendee experience to make sure that problems like that don't happen again. I guess more broadly on main stage, I worry about tournaments that kind of market themselves as like, hey, please come out. This is going to be the big one, and that's why you should be there. And we do have like the summit spots obviously up for grabs at this tournament, but I think for next year's main stage in particular, I would like to sort of use this year as sort of reps to get me a good like major building experience under my belt that I feel good about, and then next year take it somewhere where we can have a little bit more of that creative freedom, because I'm still new at this, to be honest. Like I think that a lot of the work that I have done in the community has been sort of on that more creative focus side, and creative producer is my job. But every day in this job, I am learning that I have a lot to learn about the way that things work in this community. And I think the good news is that I have a lot of people who are able to help me out with that sort of thing. And more I'm, being in contact with those sorts of people. So this is a long ramble about main stage, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
That's definitely pretty sick to hear. And I feel like I guess I know what you mean by like this is the big one, because it's like they can't all be the big one.
Exactly.
Right? But yeah, it is funny because with main stage it's like, yeah, you really can. Yeah, I mean, I've always really even since the first main stage I went to, I've always really liked that event. Because to me it always felt like you could really feel the kind of beyond the summit touch. And I felt like it kind of occupied this neat place in the ecosystem just because of kind of when it lands on the tournament's calendar. I think some people see it as some of the top players, I should say, see it as something like a warm up for the tournaments that invariably come after it. Like, for example, last year Summit was literally after it, right? And then I guess this year there's the circuit finales or what have you. But I always thought it was like a really neat kind of event just because of that. And I feel like it, I don't know, there was like the NASB thing last year. I got to cast that with Coney. Like that was fucking fun for like no reason, So yeah, I don't know. I've got a lot of fond memories from that event. Obviously the first one had the roast of Bobby Scar as well, which was insane. And obviously that was a very different experience. But yeah, I've got a really soft spot for it. So I hope everything goes well there, and can't wait to see what ends up happening.
Good. Yeah, it should be a fun time. We always good thing about main stage is I think you're right. It does, we try to, have a bit of a little BTS touch there. I do think our production value last time was pretty nice, pretty cool. All that kind of stuff.
The lighting was so sick. Mm-hmm. I remember being in there and like, okay, sometimes you see some really dope esports photos, but you see the photo and you're like, oh, the lighting in this photo looks really cool, but there's no way it looks like that in person. And you just know there's no way it looks that good in person. But for some reason, I don't know, you guys had some little like vapor thing or something. Anyway, I remember I was in there and I was like, dude, this shit looks like a movie for some fucking reason.
Yeah. It was really cool.
So sick. Yeah, and to anyone who saw the photos and you're probably like, well, there's no way it looks like that in person. Actually looked like that in person. It was so sick.
Yeah, I do think that like the in-person spectator experience was pretty good at last main stage. And I think a lot of that is one attributed to our production team and everyone who, is a part of the process of planning. It's just it's crazy how cracked they all are. And I'm super thankful to just work with so many talented people. And they do such a great job at all of that stuff. But also, I think you might have been talking about this on commentary actually at Summit this weekend. But the Summit qualifying spots not only are like kind of bait to like lure people to come to the tournament. Please God.
I mean that's yeah.
But I do think that it creates a really interesting storyline at the event that is kind of unusual, because I think that a lot of people who are really in touch with their scenes are really interested in seeing like even round 2 pools matches, top 64 matches that people of their region are a part of. And then it's kind of a bit of a lull until the end of the tournament hits and your storyline becomes like who is going to win the thing. But
right.
this kind of the main stage dynamic kind of fills in the middle a little bit, I feel. And it gives stakes to some of these sort of like later round top 64 matches that aren't usually there.
I think casters need to do casters like myself, as well as, I guess, if you want to say whoever could be held accountable for reminding the casters to bring it up, should do a better job of pointing that out. And what I mean by that is, I had totally forgotten that Sunsei was about to qualify for Summit. As I don't know if I was the one casting the match that got him qualified, but I'm talking about Big House, of course, right? I didn't realize it until after the tournament was over. And so I feel like it would be really good, even to have on graphics. Like I can imagine a top 8 graphic that has glow, it shows the graphic, and imagine it shows a little glowy spot for the Summit qualifying spots or some shit. Like I feel like that's the kind of thing, because it's one thing if the spot is on the line, but it's another thing if people need to actually know about it. I know it gets a little bit confusing because maybe it's like the top 6 get in, but maybe Mango's in the top 6 or someone who's gonna, however, I guess at main stage nobody's invited yet, so it's just whoever's top 6. But like at Big House, for example, at Big House, who won the tournament? AMSA, obviously, and first and second place down to however much were already invited. So I feel like that's something that could be called out a little bit better. But you're right that I think that is something that gives a little bit of oomph to it before you even get down into those final slots. So that's a mental note I'm going to make for my own casting as well, just to point that kind of shit out. People
that's
forget.
A great point. I hope you appreciated also this weekend that we tried to up our presentation of information about players a little bit with the cards and with the head-to-head.
Oh, those were nice. I like the quotes. I like the quotes. Did you ask them for any of the quotes, or did you just pick shit out? Perfect.
I went to twitter.com and I got searching and just threw them on there.
Perfect. Perfect. You could have gotten the 3 hands one for JFlex.
That's right.
You know about that one?
That's an oversight on my part. I do know about the 3 hands bit. Yeah.
You know about the 3 hands bit, PP?
No.
He won some local or something, and I think he tweeted something to the effect of, "Damn, I feel like I'm playing Melee with 3 hands."
Oh.
2 hands on the controller, 1 hand on my.
I see.
I
He was
I'm at
feeling
liberty
himself.
to. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'm at liberty to say this, but we actually filmed a whole content piece that we didn't get to finish this weekend.
About JFlex having 3 hands?
It involves the JFlex 3-hand bit. So we will be releasing that, I think.
You're going to release it? Oh, fuck yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah, so
I saw something on the media schedule about something. So I'm not going to spoil anything. But
there was a little bit in the recap also. I'm not sure if anyone caught that, but
I did not catch that. Okay.
Yeah, there's a little bit of something from that video in the recap.
Beautiful.
And I'll wait.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, let's do our community voice. Let's respond to what the good people of the internet had to say about me and PP's question from last week, and then we'll get into some callers. We got some. We got a good bit of questions coming in already, and we got a repeat guest who I don't want to spoil by the name of Aiden, who I just spoiled, waiting in the wings. So, without further ado, let's see what the people had to say to the question of. What was our question, PP?
We had 2. One was about
that's right.
what we thought was best about Melee that wasn't a competitive thing, it was related to the game, and the other was what would you say to the winner of Summit? And I see a lot of these comments are edited, so I'm wondering if some people are going to change their answer. I was wondering if people were going to edit. I'm watching.
Maybe they answered one and then they edited it in so they could have another one, Yeah, Richard Liu, the Melee UI UX work art. Oh, dude. Yeah, dead ass. So that's apparently that's Sakurai's wife. She did all the menus and shit.
I didn't
and she's done apparently this is the story at least I've heard. She's done them for a lot of the Smash games. And she also did them for games that bear a resemblance in terms of the UI UX, like for example Kirby's Air Ride.
It's
where you
so
can really
similar.
see. It's so similar, right? Kirby's Air Ride actually really feels like the Brawl menu kind of style with it's a little bit more like Melee's more streamlined, like where it's like, you know, top to bottom, whereas, you know, the more modern Smash games, Kirby's Air Ride, they're kind of the buttons are all over the place. I really like for what it's worth, I think that Melee, to me, maybe it's just because I play the most Melee, but I've always really liked. I feel like it strikes a really cool balance between it's like easy to understand, but also you can fuck around a little bit. Like I remember I was like, oh shit, you can use the C stick to swivel the menu around. That was Melee is the first game where you could do that. Does it do fucking anything? No. Can you just use it to annoy your friends? Yes. And I love that about it.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. You can read the next one.
This person's name is too difficult, so I'm not attempting it, but they did answer both questions. And for the first one, they said, whoever came up with Poke Floats as a stage, I love you. There are so many janky stages that are no longer tournament legal, and I wish we could occasionally have more stacked tournaments like the off-season where Mutant City is legal, because why not? It is a fair question, but I think a lot of top players wouldn't want to deal with it, but that's what we have Summit for. Other answer for what would we say to the winner Summit? Everyone knows it's been your turn to win something huge, so I'm gonna just call it now. Good stuff, J-Mook. And then they edited to say, I mean, you can't really complain about getting eliminated by HBox. One day she should be on top. Oh man.
I mean, you can complain.
Man, I think J-Mook. Well, he won't see this episode, so that's okay. But otherwise,
actually, he watches. It turns out J-Mook watches a lot of our. Dude, J-Mook came up to me. Side note, shout out to J-Mook. J-Mook at Summit. Pipsqueak was playing Falcon against Ty to warm up for Kadoran or whatever, or was it Kadoran? Whatever. It was warming up Pipsqueak was warming up for Kadoran, and Pipsqueak was playing Falcon as he does because he's a Falcon player from Marth, which we talked about in Radio Melee. And J-Mook came up and he was like, "Dude, I love Pipsqueak's Falcon," and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Yeah, it's like I saw the Radio Melee episode where he was on, blah blah blah." And basically, and then we got into how like having a secondary as a counter pick for like certain matchups is like a kind of an old school thing. Side note, it's really funny, dude. J-Mook, I see what you're doing, bro. Dude, every now and then I feel like J-Mook just brings up, chat, let me know if you agree with this. I feel like J-Mook sometimes brings up like, yo, by the way, I'm more old school than people think I am. He like kind of like does a little like old school, it's like not a name drop, but like an old school drop. Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
What?
You can't do that?
No, you can't do that when you've been in the community for shorter than I have.
Well, I think he's been in the community for longer than we give him credit for. It's just it feels like he's super new school because he got super good really quick.
Yeah.
But you know, okay, to be fair, I think he'd been going to tournaments since like 2016 or whatever. Yeah, I get it, J-Mook. You've been around the block and you just never left upstate New York. But I'm glad you do now. I love seeing J-Mook everywhere. And shout out to J-Mook when he hopefully watches this episode, and if he doesn't, then
for sure, man. Love you.
Fucking love
Thank you for watching. Anyway,
yeah, but no, it was cool. I will say it was cool because we got into talking about counter picks and having pocket counter picks for certain matchups and stuff like that, and how Pipsqueak is kind of holding the torch for that, carrying the torch for that in a minor way right now with the Falcon thing. Space Opera says Melee is a tremendous soundtrack, which I don't think people appreciate nearly enough. Agreed. Fountain of Dreams was actually my favorite neutral stage. Big Blue Corneria on it's my favorite music in the game. Have beautiful instrumentation, really set the tone for the battle in a lovely way. Yeah, you know, it's funny because like I feel like Melee, there's a lot of little things about Melee where it's like if the game came out any earlier than it did, it wouldn't be nearly as good in that way. And like this is one of them, right? Because like think about the way the music sounds on the GameCube, and then you think about like one generation sooner, like, you know, Smash 64, like obviously Smash 64 is good music, but like there's so much more that they were able to do with the GameCube. And then like it's just like same way with the graphics. It's like if it was one generation earlier, I feel like it wouldn't have aged that well. But the GameCube, like what it was able to provide was like just good enough that it's kind of immortal. Perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, really well said on that. I do like a lot of these answers. Kevin Binder does come in with he's towing the line on this competitive stuff. I will say that. He's talking about the language of Melee from the official terms like L cancel, which everyone universally loves, And fast fall to community
Right.
mainstays like Wave Dash or Gentleman. There are so many ubiquitous phrases that are mostly unique to Melee. Scar Jump, Ken Combo, Armada Shine, Nipple Spike, Roy Zone, Invisible Ceiling Glitch, V Cancel, IASA frames, or Isaiah frames as I've heard them called, Nair Outer Shield, and so on. It's a fantastic game to have discourse about. And then their second one, they popped off for J-Mook. Let the Reign of Sheik begin. I agree. Congrats to J-Mook on his big win.
Dude,
I'm
we're
very
gonna
happy for
need.
him.
I straight up, okay, Amsa got his win,
Mhm.
Amsa got it out of the way. I'm fully J-Mook pilled. I'm on
He
the.
needs.
I'm,
He needs.
yeah.
I'm full on the J-Mook train.
He
until
needs
he
to
wins.
need it.
take 2 sets off of Hungry Box in grands. That's what we need.
Dude, but the thing is, he could totally do it. I mean, he's done it
Yeah.
before, and it's like fucking
He did it.
always game 5.
I mean, he
did it.
actually did it this weekend. He just didn't. He just did the Sheik fair or the Zelda fair rather.
It seemed
He
like
literally
such a
did it.
fucking good idea. It was such a good idea, right? I was like, that's so big brain.
Yeah, it was
but what are you gonna
an
do?
inspired moment, and it just happened to not work, and then he got rolled out on, which sucks.
Man, dude, the rollout.
I hate rollout. I hate that. Sorry. J-Mook, when you watch this episode, I'm sorry. Whatever. I'm sure you're over it at this point. I'm sure you're not still thinking about it. But if you are, dude, whatever. First of all, dude, I hate that rollout happened. And my first thought that flashed through my brain was like, oh my God, Ludwig's going to be so happy.
He hit him with the
this.
Ludwig. Yes,
It
that's
was so
exactly
literally my first
how-
thought. My first
Oh,
thought was like,
no.
dude, rollouts. It's such a bad move. I hate when it's good. I hate when it's good. I actually get so viscerally annoyed by rollout
I guess if you're ever going to
because
use
of Ludwig.
it's when your opponent is on FD and they don't have a double jump anymore
Yeah.
and they're falling back down to the stage. But even then,
Right.
Even then,
should
even
not work.
then,
Do not
even
be Ludwig
then.
pilled.
ah, dude, I know it's so dude. Anyway, I'm not gonna think about it any more than I am.
Next
because
time
I
for
was
sure,
thinking
J-Mook.
about it. Dude, next time for sure. Obviously, Jamie's gonna win. Dude, he's just Armada. He's in his Armada phase right now. Armada was Mr. Number 2 for all. You remember that? Armada was like Mr. Number 2 for like 2 years. Couldn't get first place to save his life, and then he was Mr. Number 1 for a couple years. So, who's to say, right? Who's to say?
Fair. Very fair.
Anyway, let's get some callers in here. Yeah, I'm so fucking J-Mooked out of my skull at all times that I can't stop. I can't stop.
And so is our first caller, I believe.
Oh, our first caller is so J-Mooked out of his mind.
Amen.
Hello,
Hey,
Aiden. Been a
man.
long time since you've been on the program. Please introduce yourself. Where are you calling in from, and what's your question for us today, gamer?
Hey, what's up? My name's Aiden, calling in from Southern California.
Nice.
Hell
Just,
yeah.
just
I like
hanging
it
out in
there.
my room right now. Wanted to talk to my friend Mikey because I never fucking see him anymore, dude.
Yeah, you switched up. That's okay. What's your question?
What?
Live beef here on the show.
I switch up.
You switched up. That's right.
So my question. We don't need to talk about whether or not I switched up or not. We don't feel like we talk about
as
that.
a neutral
As-
third party,
as we
as a
move
neutral
through.
third party, I don't think you switched up that much. You could have switched up a lot more. I'll say it. You could have switched up a lot more.
That's
You
true.
could have baby
That's true.
switched up. I feel like you baby switched up. You know, you dyed your hair. You know, it's like
That
whatever.
is true. That is a bit of a switch.
But, like, not that
I'll
much.
accept
I don't
that
feel
one.
like you
I'll
switched
accept
that
that one. The question I had was, if I may, as somebody who also worked at Beyond the Summit, I think like when you are like the main Smash person at BTS, I think it kind of coincides with this like broader community responsibility that a lot of people don't think about, like past like what a job at that company might be, because you're kind of like this representative in Smash that I wouldn't say controls, but like has a lot of impact on like a lot of like community game pieces, so to speak. And you're also representing the company instead of yourself, because like a lot of people like yourself, right? Like community leader a long time, TO a long time, But now you have to be the BTS guy as well as the community guy, and you have to make decisions in like public, like communicate publicly with that sort of representation in mind. And even people like our good friend Anthony, I think, had to make concessions in the way he chose to communicate and make decisions when he was in that position. Even as a stick to his guns guy as like Anthony is. So I was wondering, what do you feel has changed the most in the way that about your role in the community since joining BTS versus who you were in the community before? And then also kind of have like a smaller, fun follow-up question.
Great
Um,
question.
yeah,
Agreed.
I was looking back on this is a website that doesn't exist anymore, but I went back on Wayback Machine and took a look at twitter.com/Pepis Esports. And I was like, holy shit.
Hell yeah.
I can't say any of this anymore ever. So I think you're right. But I was very vocal in a lot of ways before being with BTS. A lot of them in just like clown ways that I feel are kind of unbefitting of saying stuff when you work for whatever. You get the point. But yeah, I don't know. I think that in a way it's like the most brain power I've ever had to use, because when you're not in a position like this, you can kind of, in a way, let assumptions fill in the blanks of situations that you don't fully know about. And I think that can lead you to being a little bit like, how do I say this? Dug in on things in a way that you might not when you have to like take more viewpoints into consideration. Which to me,
can you
on
give any
one
specifics
hand,
about that, or probably not? But I'm just going to ask anyway.
I guess I'll like. I think a lot of it is about like community feedback in a way, where like on one hand, in the past, I would see somebody talking about like a format of a tournament or a tournament schedule or some decision that you made about why you put some player in Summit over some other player or something like that. I'd get pretty defensive about it and
You
be
get
like,
into it.
this is annoying, because to me it is, I guess, taking space in my brain away from things that I actually think are very important on a macro level. But I try to also remember that on one hand, it is very annoying to be in this public-facing role where a lot of people have like scrutiny on the things that you do. But in those moments, it also, I think, is a really good opportunity for me to learn about things and consider them, even when before I might just immediately be dismissive, because it's like, well, this is something that doesn't actually matter to me very much. But I think that it is actually a really great opportunity that I get to be in a position where I do something that people care enough about to complain about, you know? So, like, that, it's much better than doing something that nobody cares about at all. And so now I think I'm trying to be a little bit more careful to not be dismissive of stuff like that, and to, I think Anthony's talked about this also, where, like, if you're a commentator, people are going to complain about you, and that just comes with the territory. And I think as a commentator, it's pretty easy to just, either one, let that get to you, or two, discount it entirely, and say, well, this person is just a hater. But I do actually think that it's part of my job to like consider stuff like that without letting it dictate how I work or what I do necessarily. But I do think that even in some like irrational bullshit arguments that people have, it's important for me to like listen and pay attention to that, in a way that before I probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
funny you mentioned the commentator thing because I really deeply resonate with that, right?
Yeah,
Because like
yeah.
you, I think you have to. You know, people will. This is kind of what I used to say to myself, and now I say to newer commentators is like if you have the stomach for it, you know, you should try to get good at because I think it is a skill. You should see if you can get good at how do I word this? Picking out because people will be like people come in and they'll be like, hey, this commentator's dog shit because they do this. And sometimes, you know, you just have to be like, hey, fuck you. That's just your personal preference, man, or whatever. But then sometimes it's like, okay, maybe I can take something away from that and then ignore the part where they called me dog shit in kind of a mean-spirited way. But maybe they're onto something in some small ways. So if you could take like the little silver lining or like, you know, even fucking, yeah, and I could totally see how this would apply to like being an event organizer or something, right? Where it's like, you know, maybe Leffen comes up and he's like, hey, this event sucked balls because this schedule thing or whatever, right? Or whatever. And then you go, okay, well, you know, you were kind of mean to me in this way, or you said it in kind of a way that probably I would say it if I was in your shoes, but maybe there's a point in there that I can learn something from. And I feel like that skill is, you know, it's really hard for people to take criticism and not take it personally. But that's a thing that, you know, you can kind of learn to do. So it's kind of interesting to hear you say that because I've definitely thought about that and tried to do that myself.
There's an interesting dynamic, I think, at BTS where you are, if you are the like individual person or like one of the couple people who's like really focused on Smash stuff. So like in Mikey's case, it sounds like it's primarily you and then like a bit Zane, if I had to like interpret. And like for me, like for Anthony, it was like him and Hotbid, and then it was like me and Hotbid. It's basically just like, and in a lot of ways, like it was just Anthony for a period of time and just me for a period of time. Like, and to you, like when a lot of those responsibilities probably follow, like depending on like what Zane is working on, probably fall like solely to you, like decision making wise. And I think something really interesting when you're in that seat is people will be critical of like BTS in like a fairly public fashion, which is fine. Like people can say like things they don't like, but what they don't realize is like when that criticism is about BTS and a decision they're making in Smash, it's often just one or two guys making that decision, and you can pretty much like in my case, it was like people would say like, why would Summit do it like this? And the reality is like you could just replace Summit and say Aiden, and like, but they don't understand that. So the criticism is like naturally very personal. And it's like,
right,
you have to sort of like trust yourself to be in the position to like take the criticism in stride and understand if it's valuable or not, while also like leveraging your own voice to like speak up for your own decisions in like public forums and things like that, which I always enjoyed that part. But it can also be like frustrating to be in the hot seat.
Yeah, and I that's kind of why I think doing stuff like this is like being on this show is important because like I can talk to people and hopefully let them know that like, hey, I am here because I care about this a fucking lot, you know? And like I'm not always going to get everything right the first time. But god damn it if I won't get it right eventually.
You'll get
you
better.
know? So I'm here to listen. A lot of my job I have found is finding the right people to ask for help. Because there are a lot of things that my brain is just like deficient on. Like I cannot solve all of these problems on my own, and it is almost entirely on me to find the sort of supplementary people that I can go to for stuff like that. At every event, something pops up where it's like, well, I gotta kind of go back to the drawing board on that. I need to figure something out, figure out someone to help with that.
I'm sorry to cut and run, but I just got a flash flood warning, and it has been pouring. So I am gonna go see if my house is flooding, and I'm sorry to just leave like this, but
Hey, be safe, man.
I was
Hey,
surprised you guys didn't hear it through my mic. It was like so loud, and it just kept going.
hear it.
Like this.
That must be that Discord noise suppression. Hey, Aiden, well, it's
That's
nothing you didn't
right.
go through with the Ludwig Smash Invitational. So hey, you're well equipped to handle it, is all I know.
Thank you. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.
All right, bye-bye. Love when water comes through the ceiling.
Later.
Do you guys know about that, by the way? I think I can.
Yeah.
I think I can. I got a little bit of behind the scenes as to what actually happened. It was basically Luxor's fault, not anything to do with the venue or with but apparently like in the Luxor, like there's a big laundry like facility room area that happens to be right above the esports arena, and someone fucked up that had nothing to do with Ludwig's team, which is pretty funny.
That pyramid seems decrepit. I won't lie.
No, it is a pyramid. Yes, it is a pyramid indeed.
Pyramid scheme.
I love
pyramid scheme. You got a pyramid. Aiden's got the scheme.
that. That's right.
That's what they say. Thank you for the call, Aiden. Appreciate that. Hope everything's going well. Is it super rainy in SoCal? What's going on?
It was rainy. I mean, it was a little bit rainy while we were there. If you noticed.
Fascinating. Well, is what it is. Let's get our next caller on. We got a couple people waiting in the wings. And looks like it's going to be Galint Samuel. What's up, Samuel? Where are you calling in from? What you got for us today?
Hey, I'm calling in from Vancouver, Canada.
Just
Hell
like
yeah.
Nardwar.
Yeah.
So true.
So true.
Just like Nardwar.
So my question is, I've been TOing local events for about 10 years now, and just recently have been helping out with majors. And I've been really struggling to find ways to bring normies into the scene and to our events. So what do you think are some of the biggest things TOs could be doing to bring newer people into the scene and into their events?
Whoa.
Good question.
This is the
Who's
question.
the target audience here? Yeah, is it normies or is it people who are 10% invested?
Just anybody that isn't attending. What do you think we should do to bring them to the event?
So this is specifically for in-person and not just viewership.
Yeah, specifically for in-person.
I like to talk a lot kind of about macro issues in the community like this. I think that broadly, it's really good for people to be a part of a community like Melee because people get lonely nowadays, I think, a lot, and increasingly so. And having something that connects you to other people... I basically self-insert wrote this into that Tafikant's hologram, if you watch that. But I think it's really important for people to find spaces where they can be around other people who share like a common interest with them. And so I think that we might be able to do a little bit more to like sort of talk about the community in that meta way, where Melee is not just like a video game that you play because it's nice and fun, and at the top level it's very exciting to watch, and it has all these cool mechanics. All of these things, of course, are true, but if I were to make the pitch to somebody to join Melee, what I would say is that you will find a really open community where you can come in and not only, have a good time for yourself, but also be like useful in a lot of ways. I think that Melee in particular provides people a ton of ways that they can, get involved and have like a direct impact. So many of our scenes are literally built on the back of one person. And if they go away, the infrastructure completely collapses. And you're not always going to become like a top commentator or TO a major or anything like that. But I think that experience is good for you, even if you don't get to that level. The happiest I ever was in the Melee community was going to tournaments and knowing that I would lose week in and week out. Because I had no expectations for myself, and I would just go and see my friends, and it would be great. And I think that experience is really valuable. And I think that if you want to, you can also become of great use to our community. And I think we should talk about that more.
Dude,
That's my answer.
yeah, dude. I had this like fucking dream. That was all like practical stuff. I have a dream, Mikey. Can I tell you my dream?
Yeah.
I once bounced this off of Aiden. Actually, I was like, Aiden, could this be done? And the answer I got back was like, well, it would be really hard, dude. I want to do a Melee music festival.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I want a music festival that is a Melee tournament. That's what I want. That's my dream.
I've been thinking about this lately too, and all of the musicians that have like ties to Melee and weird.
There's
ways.
a couple of
I
them.
think
Yeah, I mean,
Porter fucking
Porter-
Robinson, dude. He
Dude.
saw, there was an apology man tweet about a Spark tweet this weekend that Porter got its way to Porter Robinson.
But my favorite
Oh.
tweets are apology man tweets about Spark tweets. By the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I think that kind of fits into what I'm saying, where Melee is this holistic social experience.
Right.
And that's like kind of the Smash Camp thesis, right? Like, it's not just a Melee tournament. You need to do, if you're going to run a tournament, it shouldn't just be the big one. It should be something where people go to have fun in some way, you know?
You'll get people from just that alone. I feel like, and by the way, I feel like that makes you like uniquely qualified to like sort of receive this question. But yeah, something like that alone, I think will get people out, right? Because yeah, if you just want to run yet another major, it's like, what are you really going to do to set yourself apart? But you know, like, I don't know. I mean, I think a great example is like Air and Fate, right? Like, even in an era where a lot of the top NA players, for better or for worse, kind of stopped going to a lot of the DreamHacks and things like that in Europe. Mind you, nothing against obviously DreamHack. I mean, DreamHack's a fucking dope event, and I feel like more people should go. But point is, people were going to Air and people were going to Fate because it's so unique and it's so different, and it's a really community centric kind of experience that offers something that a lot of other events aren't going to offer. And so, and I feel like Smash Camp kind of is that. And I was going to go to Smash Camp Oregon, but of course LSI got scheduled over it. But you know, I really want to make it to the next one. And it seems like everyone has an amazing time each time. So there's got to be ways to do more stuff like that, right? Like there's got to be more ways to break ground. And this is something that I hear from people from other scenes a good bit. You know, we had some of the chess guys from like the Chess Bra channel. They came and they hung out at Gommel, and Get On My Level had you know, really sick production value in the venue. And you know, it had those like the pop-up crew battles, which were awesome. And then it had the boat party. And then we were on a boat and we were partying. And there was like fucking, you know, there were a bunch of smashers on a boat, and there was a nice view of the Toronto skyline. It was a really good day to karaoke thing. And Hungrybox, you know, kept jumping the line or whatever. And it was great. And that's the kind of thing where you're like, man, I was on a boat with Mango. That was awesome. You know, like people will remember that, and it's unique, and it probably cost a bunch of money, but like, you know, that's the kind of thing that they worked up to over years and years. And I think that there's definitely there's got to be a gazillion ideas that I know it's hard. I know it's hard to do these sorts of things, but you know, like there's got to be niches that are yet unfulfilled. Let's put it that way.
We can always make things more accessible, but like Smash Camp, there's nothing special about me when it comes to Smash Camp. There's nothing really like in particular that could have stopped anyone from putting down like you need $1,500 for your deposit, but you know, maybe you could scrape that together and make it happen. But like that, no, like you can do this,
right?
If you want to.
Right. Now, the music festival idea, that one's harder, for sure.
That one's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, but we can build up to it. It's even as simple as just like finding a cool bar, asking them if they want more people to come in there on a Tuesday night or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the Foundry thing. That was even the Kings of Cali thing, right? And those were great tourneys. Those were great tourneys. We had I remember how stoked we were back in the day to be able to watch, you know, because the Melee was on one side of the boat. It was a pretty big bar. PP, you were there. And on one side would be all the Melee setups for the tournament, and then you'd go to the bar where the actual bar was, and then they put the Melee on the TV screen where they normally would be playing sports. And there were like not angry. There were confused middle-aged white people who were like, "What is this? Where's the football?" And that was funny. You know, but whatever. It was great. It was a great time. This was 2013 or 2012 or whatever.
Yeah.
No one knew what the hell they were doing. It was great. 10 years later, I would not say that many people have successfully replicated that experience. So, you know, that's an angle.
Absolutely. yeah, try it. Why not? If you're out
I love
there.
it. I love it. The last thing I kind of want to say is that like there's definitely also an angle that like I saw that it was like the trailer for what the hell was it? It's Oregon, I think. It's I just forget the name of the
Ass.
series, but is it Ass?
Is that
I
the
just like
basement one?
yeah, the basement one where
Yeah,
they
it's
had the
called
fucking
Ass.
that was so sick where they had the trailer and you know it starts with the guide. He's like, "Fuck, playing these fucking Slippy Falcos fucking sucks."
That's
And then
right.
the friend hits him up and it's like, yeah, well, net play is really bad for your mental. You should go to a local. I feel like well, okay, one, that idea of bringing out Slippy kids, that's like, you know, part of me wants to say like, fuck marketing to normies because getting normies in is hard. But getting Slippy kids to go to locals, there's a shitload of Slippy kids that I bet don't go to their locals, right? And I feel like I feel like probably every scene could be doing a much better job of figuring out how to get Slippy kids, like making a pipeline from Slippy kid to IRL attendee. I'm not saying I know what that looks like, but if you go down the rabbit hole of like, how do I get normies to come to tournaments and you get stuck, maybe think about it more like, how do I get Slippy kids to come to tournaments? Because I feel like that's doable. And
I don't necessarily have like a great answer for this, but if I could like socially engineer one thing about the Melee community, I would take more focus off of our top level competition and put it more into emphasizing the experience of the everyday Melee player. I think that in and of itself is a compelling thing. Even without the top players, if we didn't have that, if we didn't have top level competition, Melee is still something that I would be interested in just because of how compelling that is.
agreed.
How that happens, I don't know. Like, you have to change the way that you talk about things, I guess. Like, I try to be mindful of that, and whenever I talk on a platform, I often try to talk about that because I think it's really important. So I don't know. Go tell people that locals are cool and you should go to them.
Hell yeah. Thank you for the question, Samuel. And by the way, gotta say, love everything the Galint team does. Obviously, can't wait to see y'all at the next Battle BC.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks,
For sure.
Samuel.
You got any shout outs you want to do?
Shout out to Kevin Deere. I am skipping the Gallant meeting as we speak because I forgot it was happening. So
Well, you know, it is what it is.
Tell him I said hi.
That
I will. And also shout outs to the Da Vinci twins for letting me pay them $100 to get Ouch into Summit.
shout out, ouch. Shout out to
out.
those twins.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool. Wow, $100.
Yeah.
It's not too
Yeah,
bad. I
it's
mean, that
pretty
was like
good.
an in-person thing, right? Well, have a good one, Samuel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Hell yeah. Let's get our next caller in here.
This is going to be our
go for a
last
couple more.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Binseu. Welcome to the show, Binseu. What you got for us today?
Hello. So we used to see each summit having many skits and content pieces. For example, Smash Summit 5 had 8 content pieces. How do you feel the level of Summit skit creativity has changed over time, especially after having lost key players to Mogul Moves and Team Liquid?
Binseu, I love your voice.
Thanks.
We're very busy, especially our content team. Our content team right now consists of 3 people who have to make stuff for Juiced. And, well, kind of. It's more than 3 people. But it's a very small team. They have to make stuff for Juiced and Papa John's and Monster Energy and Coinbase and a whole bunch of these white label projects that pop up. But I also do think that it's somewhat attributable to the level of polish that we have come to find to be acceptable in Summit content pieces going pretty far up. To the point where if we don't feel that a piece is good, then it's gonna get left on the cutting room floor. Because we would rather, maintain the quality of our content than, kind of water it down by doing that.
So, do you think that a lot of the pieces in the past you were putting out more because you were you wanted to put out more, and then there was just a lower standard? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to like the particular content process of past Summit events. but I know that like Dan and his team, they feel like the polish on the content now is the standard for it is a lot higher. So I don't know, and I think some of that is kind of just evident when you go back and watch that stuff versus now, and you know that was when they were basically only having like one thing to focus on at a time. It would be like Dota Summit or Smash Summit or CS Summit or Rocket League Summit or something like that, and you know, the crazy thing to guess, give you some like inside baseball here is that like, I don't know if you pay any attention to the Dota scene at all, you know that there's kind of been a bit of a shakeup there, and we usually do a branch of Dota Pro Circuit, which is kind of their like league play in Dota, and we didn't get the contract for that this year. Which normally, you know, back in the day, that would be like, well, shit, that's like a third of what we do. But the fact that we're still like good because of all of these like white label projects that people don't often like associate BTS with, but that take up most of our bandwidth is kind of like it makes things a little bit you know hectic for us on a day-to-day level. So, you know, it's like a complicated corporate answer, I guess, but that's really the truth of the matter.
Do you feel like, because it's funny because I feel like on one hand, man, I don't know. I feel like you guys have gotten more. What's the word? Like, there's more of a theme. And theme's not even the right word. Like, okay, what I mean by that is like a couple summits ago, there was the and I don't even know if you worked this summit. I forget, but it was the choose your own adventure, you know. And then obviously last summit, which was extremely unfortunate, what happened with the COVID situation, but the whole Survivor thing was like that was like really fucking cool, and that was new. And you know, I think sometimes people think of creativity in terms of what the creative teams bring to the table, or I guess you know, again, whoever you consider to be part of sort of that creative process. People say, well, I guess that's the skits, like the specific videos. That's creative. But I feel like it's kind of blended a little bit where there's obviously you have your skits and those are, you know, these individual packages that do end up on YouTube. But also there's this tie-in to like the actual theme of the event. And I feel like that's gotten a lot tighter over the years. Like I couldn't tell you what the theme of Smash Summit like 3 was, except that I think that one was sponsored by Weed Maps.
Correct.
But I can tell you that, you know, there was the Valentine's Day kind of summit with the visual novels, and there was the choose your own adventure one with the kind of the, you know, I think that was like the Black Mirrored Out one, and especially, you know, the more recent one, the Survivor theme. I feel like the space theme with the side events, you know, that all kind of ties together, and I feel like that's gotten a lot more cohesive. So from my perspective, it feels like it's only gone up and up in that sense, right? But I don't know what you think about that. I don't know if you think that's. And even how that happens, like, did you just walk in? Did you walk into the I guess you're mostly remote, but did you log onto a meeting one day and you're just like, guys, fucking space? Like, how did that happen?
That's exactly what happened. We do intentionally every event sit down and brainstorm theme ideas like that. The Survivor one was a bit of a baby of mine because I'm a big Survivor fan, and I thought it would be great to have Melee players play Survivor. So I'm really bummed we didn't get to finish that. But yeah, that is something that we tie that into everything that we try to do. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it doesn't happen for one reason or another that it's quite as cohesive as it could be. But we try to integrate that into the sketches and into the set design and into the side events that we do. That is
the set design was so good.
Yeah, that actually we kind of have assigned one guy, Rob, on our team to sort of like be in charge of that sort of competition room set design now, which is great.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Rob is primarily, in terms of his title, hospitality.
Correct. Yes.
That's insane. That is insane. The fact that, like, you know, Rob, like, I wanted to play Rob, and we were talking about playing chess or something, and he's like, oh yeah, I gotta go, I gotta run some people in a shuttle. And I was like, man, that is so funny that they've got you. Obviously, your job title is like hospitality, but he killed it. I mean, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, it's just watch any of the matches and look at the player cam, and it looks like they're playing like in a space station.
It's right behind
Rob
you right
did
now.
that.
You can see it on the CRT.
Oh yeah, yeah. You actually kind of can. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Like that to me. Well, I don't know. I don't know if just everyone at Summit is just ridiculously talented, but like that is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
That you've got a
yeah.
hospitality guy doing set design at that level.
I do think that is actually the truth of the matter, that we're everyone at Summit is just cracked.
Very cool.
That's just kind of how it is. It's
Mhm.
very cool to be a part of.
Fuck yeah. Well, can't wait to see what the next one entails. If you ever need any, by the way, if you ever need any crazy themes, I got you.
Oh, my door's open, Toph.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna think of some sick themes for you.
Sick.
One thing I wanted to ask real quick to kind of put a pin in this, because I was just curious. I mean, you said early on, you're like, okay, well, it's 3 people and we're working on a ton of things. I'm just wondering, is everyone spread real thin over there?
Hard, I don't want to, I don't want to sell people short or anything like that, or say that our quality of work is like not good or anything.
Oh, that's not what I was trying to imply.
Yeah, but we're looking for more help. Actually, I think there is a job listing up for a content position.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, head on over to beyondthesummit.tv and click on careers, and you can check that out.
Make things
Love
a little
that.
easier for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I don't know. It's always really sick just because I don't know, there's kind of been this like, like person who does really cool things in the Smash community like yourself to be on the Summit pipeline, and I feel like every time that kind of happens, it's always to me I feel it's like a really big dub for the community.
Yeah.
So yeah, can't wait to see what the future holds there. Obviously at this point, I've met more people at Summit than obviously just the people who came from the Smash community.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just such a pleasure always working with the Summit folks. So yeah, I can definitely chime in and say that if anyone's thinking about that as a career path or what have you, definitely good people over there. So there's my little plug for you.
Check it out.
You'll learn a lot of
Binseu.
skills.
So thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Any shout outs you want to do?
Yeah, so I'm
you
actually
have the
calling
floor.
in from ACT Australia. So I want to shout out some of the Australian TOs. I just want to shout out some old school TOs like Cammy, who carried the ACT scene on his back for a long time. Some new school TOs like Finray and Garfield. And I also want to shout out the late legend Dennis Wang, who passed away a few weeks ago. But he TO'd so many Sydney events. And he was also the mastermind behind Phantom. So yeah, may he rest in peace. Also, shout outs to Golden Guardians and Beyond the Summit for supporting Melee and bringing us amazing content all the time.
Thank you so much, Binseu. Appreciate that. Am I saying
so
your
much.
name correctly, by the way? Is it Binseu?
Yep, that's correct.
Perfect. Have a great one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. I wonder why Binseu. I feel like I really liked Binseu's voice. I wonder why Binseu's voice to me sounds a lot more like posh and proper than like fucking like, hey, I'll say it, Josh, man.
Well, I think it's different.
Some things we'll never
different
know.
parts, right? Just like
It
how
must be
the
different
English
parts.
accents can be different from different parts.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm just not. I don't know enough about. I got to make a trip over to Australia one day. Just learn about the beautiful country.
Josh is a bit more bogan, as they say.
He seems, I don't even really know what bogan means, but I can feel what it means from.
It's like an Australian redneck, basically, is what they.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, love all the Aussies out there. I think that's it for the questions for today, Mikey. So the last thing we do on the program, as you kind of saw, we did answering the questions from last week, is we get to do a little thing where we poll our YouTube audience, not poll's the wrong word, but we ask our YouTube audience some question about the game or about some bullshit. It can be literally anything you want. And Homemade Waffles was on one time, and basically, I think his question was who would win in Melee between LeBron and Steph Curry. It could be something like that. It could be literally anything. So, with that said, what question would you like to pose to the greater YouTube Super Smash Brothers Melee audience out there that tunes in every week?
You know what? I'm gonna steal one from something Toph just said. Give me your ideal Summit theme ideas.
Oh, that's so sick. That's so
What
sick.
do you want to see?
Hell yeah, dude. Oh man, imagine. Oh, dude. There's so many good.
Yeah. Maybe we'll catch some inspiration here. Maybe you'll see your community voice idea on Smash Summit 15.
And then they'll get a job,
Fuck
right?
yeah.
That's how
Yes.
it works.
I will promise
Maybe.
this right now.
He is still learning to be the face of a company, but he's doing a great job.
Imagine just like, okay, I got a sick theme.
Shoot,
Yeah.
what is it?
Fire.
Water,
Like you're
Air.
in a burning building.
Earth.
Think about it.
The-
Think
the
about
four
it. What
nations
could
live
be
together in harmony. Okay, sorry. Go
Exactly.
ahead.
exactly at the beginning of the event? You set the building on fire, and the competitors have to play through it. What could
This
be
is
more
not
intense?
a format that favors Hungry Box. Those matches need to go fast.
Dude,
That's
we
true.
can we can't even do basketball ever again. Toph.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't
That's
make
true.
when you comment. Don't make your comment Fire Summit.
All your ideas will be fire by default, so you could just assume it's there.
Exactly.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's this joke in community
Dude,
that popped up in
something sick.
2 different episodes where one character says, "Fire can't go through doors. It's not a ghost, dummy." And then in a later episode, they say, "Ghosts can't go through doors. It's not fire, dummy."
What is this from?
Community, the TV
No
show.
shit. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
There was some
sense.
growth in between those episodes, I think.
Yeah. Some
So
learning.
maybe we just contain it in a fire room because it can't go through doors.
that makes sense.
Right.
You should probably
Yeah.
get Rob on that. Rob could probably just do that.
Yeah, just
I
pull
feel
out
like
the old,
we're getting escape room vibes here a little bit, I feel.
yeah,
Dude,
pull out the old kerosene canister, Rob. Let's get this shit popping.
bro, dead ass. This isn't a theme, but like, I've thought about like, what if for a side event, because this could be a pretty substantial side event, like a escape room.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
We could do
I'm not. You definitely could do it. Yeah, I know. It would definitely be work. But it's kind of a dope idea. NGL.
Yeah, I wonder how we would.
NGL.
There's some
Have
things
you
that are
done?
like
Have you done any escape? Have you been any? Like,
I have. Yeah, I've done a couple of them.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder how you would do that in a way that is like presentable on a broadcast. That's always the challenge. But it would take some lead up time to do something like that. But maybe I mean we got 4 months until Ult Summit and 6 months until Melee Summit. That's a leak, I guess. I just said.
It's not
But-
impossible now.
But
it's kind of
yeah.
It happens on a fucking annual cadence. Like, ooh.
Yeah, sure. It's
Yeah,
in those
we know.
time periods. You can figure it out.
Whatever.
But yeah, we got a little bit of time. So I'm trying to get a little bit custom. You know what I'm saying?
That would, dude. Yeah, dude. Okay, one of my favorite early summit. I just, before we go, one of my favorite early Smash Summit things that we did that, like, when I heard about it, it was a side event, and when I heard about it, I was like, is that gonna? There's no way that's gonna be that good. But I bring it up from time to time is the fucking hide and seek. This was pretty early on. This was when it was back at the house. There was a hide and seek game. And I was like, bro, there's no way. There's no way that this could possibly be good. You just go in each of the rooms and you look in all the fucking places and you find everybody. And it was actually really hard to find. Some people stayed hidden for like 40 minutes. I think PP, you were one of them. Do you remember where you hid? You hid somewhere.
I was one of them. Oh,
Why? Because I remember the meme in chat was search every nook and cranny.
is that where that came from?
People's Champ to find
Oh.
Kevin Nanny, People's Champ.
Oh, is that where that came from?
Oh wow!
Yeah, because Scar was looking for you, and he took you. It took a good bit of time to find you, as I recall.
I vaguely remember my spot being really bad. I think they just didn't expect it.
I thought that event was super fun. I go back and I watch it from time to time because it's on the YouTube. And that shit was really fun, especially from like, I played hide and seek as a kid, and it's usually not the most compelling game because usually there's only a certain number of places you can hide in a house. And I was like, dude, this is actually hard and like fun. It was weird. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, just saying. There's some ideas that definitely haven't been done.
Yeah, for sure. We'll always come up with something, something to keep fresh and nice.
Well, thank you for coming on the program, Mikey. This was dope. This is the last Radio Melee episode we're doing for a couple weeks as we end season 4. I should say we take a little hiatus because of the end of season 4 here on Golden Guardians. But we'll be back. Taking a couple weeks off, but as the tournament season is really kicking into overdrive, there's going to be a lot of Melee to watch for you guys anyway. And when you need us the most, after the wave of winter tournaments, we'll be back with some fire stuff, probably for season 5, which is as yet unannounced. I'm kind of making this up. There's probably season 5. I have to imagine season 5 comes after season 4. It makes sense, unless we go into a name system instead of a number-based system. But thank you, Mikey, so much for coming on. Appreciate it. And I guess this is about it. So, PP, thank you again for hosting with me all these weeks. We'll see y'all sooner than you realize, but later than you expect.
Watch 4-side fights in the meantime. That's my plan.
Oh, 4-side fights is so fire.
plug.
Yeah, go check
Love
that out.
that.
Hey, which channel's that on? Final plug. Which channel's that on? Jackzilla?
Twitch.tv/Melee it on me Thursdays.
Melee it on me. Yeah.
This Thursday we'll have one.
Big.
This Thursday in the afternoon sometime.
Yeah.
5 p.m.-ish.
Around 5,
6
6.
p.m.-ish. Anyway. Peace out, everybody. This has been Radio Melee signing out. See you next
Signing
year.
out.